And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, a real estate and finance expert, and goes to bat for you every day as your consumer advocate. Your host, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are again another day committed to picking a fight with the mainstream media and providing you the timely truth centered around real estate, credit, finance, estate planning, family law, and so much more. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, where our number one goals are to educate, entertain, enlighten, but most importantly, we want to engage you in an effort to help you win in any marketplace.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
Pull out your smartphone, save our number, 813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
813-917-1894. Don't forget our number. Bookmark our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available. You can see links to all of our expert contributors at our website, consumerqb.com. Over 80 show expert contributors and partners on the Quarterback Show, as well as you can watch our live stream as well from our website, consumerqb.com. Cameras in studio here. Compliments of WeBeam TV. You can stream it live from there as well. And we don't care if you're climbing a corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work. This show's for you. We want to help you win. Hula Bay is our official restaurant partner, the official restaurant partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Say hello to Mike Finnegan and his team down 5710 Tyson Avenue in South Tampa. Waterfront ambiance, excellent food, the best sushi in all of Tampa Bay. The tuna is shipped in fresh from Hawaii every 2 days. So go down to Hula Bay, let them know the quarterback sent you for a free water with lemon. That's our running joke around here. Let's go around the horn now, make our introductions in studio. Joe Cairns, attorney Joe Cairns, managing partner, Cairns Law Firm. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you. I am a family law practitioner over in Largo, Florida. Thanks for having me.
Hey, my pleasure. Absolutely. Let's also in the house as well. We got the mortgage maverick back in studio. Curt Lorden, Interlinc Mortgage Services. Welcome in, sir.
What's going on, Brandon? I'm digging the jacket, man.
Thanks,
little North Face action.
Yeah,
it's real cold. It's cold in the studio. So we're going to talk about, yet again, how the media has sensationalized some information about the mortgage industry.
Really?
Yeah, shocking, right?
I can't believe they did that.
I know, for the first time.
First time ever, the media sensationalizing.
You can't handle the truth.
Every time they do that, the Consumer Quarterback Show, we're going to help you sort through a lot of that nonsense out there, give you that commission-based advice that's so prevalent in our community, help you avoid that, rather, and also make you more street smart here on the Quarterback Show. And expert contributor. Also going to talk about, we always do these top 10s, have a little fun with you, but the top 10 most downloaded iOS apps. So that's going to be interesting to see if we can guess those, see who can win there. Let's see who can guess the most. But that's coming up later in the show. And we always start the show off with a little bit of personal development, ways that you can live a better life and think a layer deeper, make you more street smart here on the Quarterback Show. So we've got our Audible here by Peyton. Got that Audible. So we talk about the habits of healthy people or wealthy people, and it's a lot of times if you think about this, we've had a lot of immigration talk lately in the news. We've had immigration attorney on our show as well, Ahmad Yaksan, and as well as Abe comes on the show as well, Abraham Musa with Total Title. But when you think about immigrants, if you look back historically, they're 4 times more likely to become millionaires than us folks that are typically born in the United States, American bred and born. And why is that? It's a level of hunger. It's maybe they want to feed folks back home that they're helping to support, but they come in and they see the opportunity that we have. So here we are, we're living in the greatest economic engine ever invented on the face of the earth over the history of time, and it's the most entrepreneurial wealth creation system ever. And what you need to do is you find a need and you fill it. You add more value. You simply add more value than the next business or the next person. And you be on the cutting edge and the innovation that Peter Gerber used to talk about. The marketing side is innovation and marketing is the number one value. And so you develop rich habits versus poor habits. So poor habits are self-limiting beliefs, telling yourself you can't do it. And a lot of that comes from childhood when you're too small, you can't do things. Nature is neutral, and it comes down to the law of cause and effect. So if you think and act like wealthy people, control your mind, focus as well. So where energy flows, where your focus goes, energy flows is what one of my mentors said, Tony Robbins. So, one new idea is all you need to change your life, to change the projection of where you're at. And it's the land of opportunity. So 5,000 millionaires, 1 million millionaires in 1980. Now there's 10 million millionaires, according in 2015. It's the most of them who started with nothing and earned their way up. So the law of correspondence, it says, as within, so without, is the law of correspondence. To be wealthy on the outside, you must think wealthy on the inside. Your outer world is a reflection of your inner world. So quarterback tip, helping you win in any marketplace. Let's jump right into this content. Joe Cairns in the house, attorney Joe Cairns. So family law, what's happening in your space, brother?
Typically around this time is we're dealing with some relocations. The reason why the timing is around now is that relocation, people move for all sorts of reasons. They want to move back to where their family is.
Right.
They want to move for job reasons, a whole host of different reasons. If there is some sort of parenting plan or anything that deals with time sharing between two parents that are separated, ultimately, if they want to move, they want to do it during the summer when it's not going to affect the school year.
Right.
So to start it, you need to start it pretty much right now because it's going to take about 90 to 120 days to get in, which right now will put us right in that summertime spot. Right. So a lot of people are coming saying that they, I need to move to New York, or for some odd reason, I relocate a lot of people back to Ohio. Yeah. That's very troubling as a person from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's extremely troubling. What's in Toledo? But
there's nothing in Toledo. I am from Ohio.
Surely you can't be serious. I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
The mudheads, that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what's coming into our department now, and they're very tricky. They're very difficult to settle because sometimes you'd be taking the child away from a parent who's otherwise been very involved, and there might be a really good reason to do it. There might not be any reason to do it. So it's important to talk with an attorney to see what are the options, what are the chances. I mean, sometimes there are really good chances that a relocation be allowed, and then there's times where, well, I just really want to go. That might not be the best, and then you might even have to make the call, well, do I move and leave the child here, and then I'm the one who's stuck with maybe less of the time?
Limited visitation rights, and it's all about setting a precedent, right? Isn't it?
And it's really difficult if you have two parents that don't get along.
Right.
How is it? Is it going to get better when they're farther away?
Right.
Maybe out of sight, out of mind, there's less friction, but there's also the, well, they're gone, I don't need to talk to them.
Yeah.
That can be a difficult thing as far as who's going to comply with everything that was written down.
Right. Yeah.
It's a problem area. They're very difficult. I would say 50 to 60% of them go to trial because there's no gray area. It's not like if someone wants to move to Ohio, I can say, well, what if we agree on Tennessee?
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Can you meet me halfway? Come on, Lloyd.
And if they're school age, it's even more difficult because, you have the school calendar. And then, if you move to certain states where they have these different grids for how the school year works, can make it even more. And then there's that added expense of throwing a kid on a plane. Is he old enough to be on the plane by himself? Are the parents comfortable with it? All of that. So there's all of these things get thrown in there, and they're just very difficult. And I would say do not navigate that type of process by yourself.
Yeah, it's difficult. You look at that, and as a consumer advocate here, what we want you to do is reach out to our hotline, 813-917-1894. Attorney Joe Cairns here in Tampa Bay, highly respected attorney, Cairns Law Firm here in Tampa Bay. And Curt, let's get your perspective here. Let's get a little teaser of what we're going to talk about coming up. You said there's a lot of things happening in the marketplace. The Federal Reserve making some moves.
Yeah, I mean, Yellen, she raised rates, and you got the guy from Integrity on last week, and he talked about the 10-year Treasury and the stock market both went up, and there was some confusion on why. Well, the reason is that rates adjust based on information, just like stock prices. If Walmart says, okay, my fourth quarter earnings are going to be X, well, their stock prices are going to go up based on that information or go down based on that information. And when the actual event occurs, the stock prices will adjust based on the actual event.
Right.
So all of this talk about the Fed, raising rates and all of the confusion, real kind of uncertainty in the marketplace. When they raised the rate, it was a relief. There was actual direction, and it created a lot of comfort in the market, which is why both of those rose. And rates actually dropped a significant amount the moment she spoke.
Right.
I think we got 70 basis points back, and they've been kind of fluctuating very minimally over the past, since they raised it. So very, very interesting time, but I'm glad that there's direction. We kind of know what's going to happen, and we'll see kind of a leveling off rates.
It's kind of like the football coach walks into the locker room, the kids are all chatting, they don't know what, there's chaos, and then the coach walks in and says, hey, let's gather around, here's what we're going to do, here's our game plan, here's at least you have some direction. So that's interesting. We're gonna talk about the impacts of that and where we see that. I want Curt to you bring your crystal ball today. We're gonna find out. We're gonna ask you where the rates are going.
I did.
Okay, good. So let's find out where the rates are going, what folks need to do about it, and how they can live a better life based on that. And more from attorney Joe Cairns as well, managing partner of Cairns Law Firm. We're talking with Curt Lorden as well, Interlinc Mortgage Services branch manager here in Tampa Bay. Giving a big shout out to the Maids Cleaning Service. They do a great job cleaning our real estate properties. 24-hour, 100% satisfaction guaranteed by the Maids Cleaning Service. They are referred for a reason. Stay with us. Don't touch that dial. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Thank
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, former USF football player, played on the inaugural football team at the University of South Florida. Go Bulls. And we're back here in studio live from iHeartRadio. This segment is brought to you by Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. It's the first new hotel built on St. Pete Beach in decades. Spanish ancestry meets cool Mediterranean attitude. Whitewashed Mediterranean palace with expansive luxury suites with balconies overlooking the intercoastal waterway and rooftop yoga on the weekends. And if you're a boater like me, I love to get out there on the weekends with Freedom Boat Club. And I pull up to the dock and I walk in and we hang out and you go to the hot tub, the pool, and also enjoy. There's a bar downstairs, but the Castile restaurant is also excellent. So big shout out to Kipton's, the Hotel Zamora on beautiful St. Pete Beach. Now let them know the real estate quarterback sent you, and you're going to get a 10 to 15%, 10 to 20% discount off of your beautiful room stay here in lovely Tampa Bay, one of the best places to live, work, and play. And before we jump back into this great content, attorney Joe Cairns in studio, Joe Cairns, Cairns Law Firm, as well as Curt Lorden, Interlinc Mortgage Services. Got a couple of hot listings I want to let you know about. 2606 North Valrico Road in Seffner. This is an 84-acre parcel of land, prime opportunity for development. And attention builders, developers out there, give me a call on our hotline, 813-917-1894. You can call or text 813-917-1894. $1.79 million for this 2606 North Valrico Road in Seffner. Also have 11515 East Dr. Martin Luther King. It's about an acre property just around the corner from that same parcel out in East County, East Hillsborough County. Prime opportunity for development as well here in beautiful Tampa Bay. All right, let's jump right back into it. Let's see, we left off, we're talking with Curt, talking about the Federal Reserve, things happening in that place, and how when typically projections, for the longest time, Curt, it seemed like bad news was good news for the rates, and now it seems like it may have flip-flopped.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, rates are going to continue to increase. I mean, that's a given. I mean, what goes up must go down. What goes down must go up. We will again see a pullback in the stock market. I've been saying it forever, and it keeps proving me wrong. But I'm eventually going to get it right.
Yeah.
So
Blind squirrel.
exactly. Hey, a broken clock's right twice a day.
That's right. Twice a day. That's correct. That is correct.
Come on!
But I mean, but again, Chicken Little, the sky's not falling. Rates go up, and the article I was referencing, when we did our introduction was, and I read it today. It said homeowners are back to taking risky loans again. And it opens up, says, adjustable rate mortgages on a rise. I think they're at 9% right now in the marketplace, which is the highest it's been. And then they continue to say that these are the programs that caused the crash. No, they're not.
No.
Yes, the 2%, introductory rate that rose up to 8% 6 months or 2 years, those were the ones, the pay option arms. The fixed, the conventional and the FHA arms are not what caused the crash.
Right.
They are a great program right now. As rates go up, traditionally arm rates are lower, which enables you to get into that house. And as long as you are, you work with a fiduciary, he or her explains the adjustments, how they work, and you get ahead of the game 6 months before your adjustment period, 5, 10, 3 years down the road, you can refinance, shorten your term, and they have systematic adjustments. In fact, usually with an FHA adjustable rate mortgage, when your interest rate recast, your payment is usually lower because it's recasted on the lower principal balance.
Right. And another point to make too, Curt, is that a lot of times people will do these types of short-term products because they don't have a long-term game plan. They're going to flip the property, sell the property a few years down the road once the kid graduated just from school or whatever their long-term plan is.
Yeah, of course, and you just have to be educated about it. I mean, you're not going to buy a stock at its highest and then sell it when it drops. So you got to keep in mind that the market could fluctuate. So you got to be on top, or at least have someone in your corner to be on top of the market to say, you know what, hey, we're going to see a dip in prices. We might have to hold on to this a little bit longer, or now's the time because it's not going to get any, not going to get any better. So go ahead and purchase now, or sell now, or do whatever you got to do, refinance, or turn it into an investment property. So you have to be educated. You can't go in there like a blind squirrel.
Yeah, Curt, you made a very good point. You used that word fiduciary. I think the audience, if you could just explain that a little bit more, what the difference is between a fiduciary and a non-fiduciary, and why you need that person.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't speak with commission breath. I'm looking out for all of my individuals, all my clients' best interests. From the time that the loan closes to sitting down with them after closing, going through some budgetary stuff, and putting together that 3 to 5 year plan, because that's usually when life changes occur. I mean, they can happen whenever, but usually it's 3 and 5 years. Kid goes from middle school to high school, elementary school to middle school. You get married, you have children. There's all kinds of different moving parts to purchasing a home, and your single largest financial investment largely goes largely unmanaged, and I would guess that most of the people that are listening to the show right now do not have a mortgage consultant. They can call tomorrow and say, hey man, what's going on with my mortgage? They can call Wells Fargo and go through the automated system and talk to, someone in a different country, but they don't have anyone here locally that can go and sit down. Hey, can you go through, can you help me calculate my household interest rate? Can you figure out if this is a good time to refinance? I know rates are at 5.5%, but I'm sitting at a 3.5%. Does it make sense? Because I'm buried in debt. I'm spending $3,000 a month on credit card debt.
Right.
That's the important stuff. Regardless if you do it or not, I can lead you to water. I just can't make you drink.
Yeah, it's important. And just to compound and talk about that fiduciary role, by the way, I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. That's Curt Lorden with Branch. He's a branch manager of Interlinc Mortgage Services, also attorney Joe Cairns here in studio. And Tony Robbins, he wrote Money Master the Game. He followed it up with another masterpiece called Unshakable. But the whole point of his book and the reason why he did that is because he witnessed in 2008 all of the uncertainty and basically the big money power grab that happened by a lot of the politicians, the bureaucrats, a lot of these so-called wealth advisors that run around touting, oh, you gotta jump into this mutual fund, check out this mutual fund. Did you know that 95% of the mutual funds out there did not outperform the market over a 15-year period? Okay, so let's break it down. You're paying some so-called expert, maybe he has an Ivy League degree, and he calls himself a wealth advisor, but when you're buying into these mutual funds, 95% of them failed to outpace the market, which you could buy in an index. You could buy what they call an index product, ask your advisor about it, but the big point is that when you overpay for underperformance, when you're investing in a mutual fund, you're overpaying for underperformance. And when I talk about overpaying, when you compound a 2 or 3% rate difference over 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, it's the difference in buying a Honda Civic for 18 or 22,000 versus paying 150,000 for that same Honda Civic. I mean, that's the difference between a fiduciary, and that's where I get a little bit excited about this stuff.
Yeah.
So many people out there, they're just going with their kid's soccer coach, and they do it in real estate, they do it in mortgage.
They do it in
they
every
go with
walk of
the
life.
kid's soccer coach, the aunt's brother's cousin, but they might be good people, but the thing is, they are simply making commission based on what's best for them, not what's best for the client.
And it's the same in my business as it is in the mortgage business. I'm not in the business of selling good feelings. That's really not what we're doing. I'm selling advice, and there's a lot of times, and I'm sure, Curt, you do the same thing, you're not giving them what they want to hear. That's when the fiduciary concept really comes in. It's like,
right,
this is the reality of it. And
yes,
teaching them reality is sometimes very difficult, and that's why it's very important to have that person so that you're not sold a book of goods that really just falls apart at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if they're not giving you the pros and cons of every single thing that they're talking about, you're looking in your best interest. I mean, I've said 1,000 times, there is no such thing as a perfect mortgage. Every one of them has their advantages. Every single one of them has their disadvantages. It's finding the one that's right for you and your family, or if you don't have a family and it's just you, then just you. But I will say this, anyone that, that's looking to move back to Ohio, take them down to the Hotel Zamora. That'll change their mind. I'm from Ohio. I'm a huge Buckeye fan, and I got family there. I'll never move back. It's cold, it's gray, and it's nothing but construction.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The difference between Tampa Bay, St. Pete, Clearwater. And then you look at the affordability. You look at the absence of a state income tax. You look at all the positives that you have here, and of course everything to do, the pro teams. It's really hard to beat when you look at Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater, and and back to the fiduciary role. I mean. It's been called, and Tony talked about in his book, the mutual fund industry, the financial services industry. In his opinion, he called it something like the largest siphoning of cash in American history, in the history of planet Earth, the largest siphoning off of cash from the Americans, because we would put it into a 401k. And I think there was a poll he also talked about, there was a survey done that said 70% of respondents did not even know that they paid fees for their 401k. They just thought it was provided. They just thought these guys are just great people handling their money. And and the fiduciary role, by the way, just to break it down, the fiduciary, if they were to buy, say for example, they buy Apple stock at 8 a.m. in the morning for themselves, and they have a client that's getting into Apple that same day, and they buy it for the client at 3 p.m., if the pricing on that Apple stock were to worsen, they would have to, as a fiduciary, they would have to sell that client their 8 a.m. stock, and they would have to keep the 3 p.m. stock. So that's the difference. That's the importance of what we're talking about here. ConsumerQB.com. Look at all of our expert contributors. We're here to help you, and we want to help you win in any marketplace. We want you to think of this show as the hub of your financial and business and health wheel, and each one of our partners can help you. And our hotline is 813-917-1894. On the other side of this break, we're going to talk about the top 10 most downloaded iOS apps from our expert contributors. Joe Cairns, Curt Lorden in the house, ConsumerQB.com. Check out our book on Amazon, Become the MVP in Your Industry by Surfing the Radio Waves. We'd love for you to check it out. Published author, professional speaker, any groups that would love a high-energy keynote speech, emceeing your events. We're doing more and more of that. I love to do that. One more way I can give back and help spread the joy, help spread the appreciation, the gratitude. And we're having a lot of fun here in studio today. Curt Lorden in the house. He's the branch manager of Interlinc Mortgage Services, and attorney Joe Cairns as well, family law attorney here, expert contributor on the Quarterback Show, Cairns Law Firm. And we were talking about the fiduciary role before the break. We're going to jump back into that. We're also going to talk about the top 10 most downloaded iOS apps on your smartphone device. And also want to give a shout out to Michael Vogt with Back In Health Massage, my massage therapist. Michael Vogt, Back In Health Massage, helping people with neck, back, shoulder, hip, and leg pain feel better. And you want to reach out to him, Back In Health Massage. Michael Vogt is a great massage therapist, and he's voted top 10 in massage services in Tampa Bay by the readers of the Tampa Bay Business Journal's Best in the Biz Awards is Michael Vogt, and he's conveniently located on Del Mabry at Gun Highway there in Bush. So we have a caller as well on the phone. James, is that right? We do have a caller. Okay, John McKee's calling in, and let's go ahead and go to our phones here. John McKee, buying a meeting, interesting concept. And hey, John, you there?
Yeah, yes, I am.
Gotcha. We got you loud and clear, brother. So why don't you give an overview to our listeners about buying a meeting?
Oh, sure, yeah. Well, thanks first off for having me on. I appreciate it, Brandon. So we call it the BAM Network, the BAM Network. BAM, which, as you say, a.k.a. buying a meeting. You know, really it was conceived based on entrepreneurs, startups, and business owners who were looking for mentor advice and to connect with key influencers and experts. So that's the differentiator about this program are, key influencers and experts, people that have spent their lifetime achieving success. And how cool would it be to be able to browse, point, and click on-demand meetings, cutting through all the red tape and making the connection. So to save you time and money.
Right.
And that's what it's all about. So I know all too well just from my own self what it's like to have a key expert or an influencer in your corner. It helped me with my product. It helped me with my book. And there's, certainly I can go on. I'm gonna let you inject there.
Yeah, and you've also got Kevin Harrington into the network, Brad Lee. You got some guy named Brandon Rhymes on the network. Tell us a little bit more about some of the stars you got on this thing.
Yeah, Mr. Brandon Rhymes. I think we're up to a dozen or 13. We have, those that you've mentioned. We have Jeff Hoffman, the co-founder of Priceline.com.
Cool.
We have brand new Mr. Sam Vila, who is the global ambassador for Redken. We have Kent Shamrock, the world's most dangerous man and TV actor from and UFC, original guy from UFC.
Yeah, I used to love watching Ken.
Brandon T. Adams, co-producer of the Ambitious Adventures, and more on the way. And again, we have publishers on there, we have event planners, we have motivators, speakers, and people that do a lot of writing for big name industries as well. But it's growing, yeah.
I love it.
We're very excited, and it's exciting to have you on there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so the BAM Network, buying a meeting, it's an interesting concept. And because when you do, like we think about for the show, we want to get, I'd love to have Coach Tony Dungy on the show, or I'd love to have John Gruden, or Dick Vitale, so you try to, you can tweet at these guys, you can have some kind of a strategy, but to pick up the phone and call them, are you really going to get to them, right? And then when you do, the red tape's there. But when you have this network that you've set up, John, you've got a streamlined system where it says, hey, here's their hourly rate, or you can even buy a half hour. Is that right?
That is correct, yeah. I mean, it's on demand, and I say on demand. You're guaranteed the meeting, obviously. It still has to be fit into their schedule, but yeah, you're right. You can go on there, you can browse, point, click. You can see on there that they're available via phone, they're available face-to-face or Skype, and of course travel, that has to be arranged and would certainly be on the person seeking the mentorship at that time. And, let's be honest. I mean, mentorship is nothing new. In fact, I'm staring at a very recent mentorship write-up by MicroMentor that shows that they did a data on mentored businesses and increased their revenue by 83% over non-mentored businesses at 16%.
Wow.
And then it just goes on. It talks about, people like Mr. Sir Branson and just a whole list of who's who that give their mentorship experiences.
Right.
So again, you're right. How would you connect with, a Mr. Harrington or
Right.
a Bradley, as you said?
Right.
This is a future way of getting it done.
Yeah, absolutely. John McKee, BAM Network. How can they connect with you, John?
Well, they can connect with connect with me on the BAM Network. We're on Facebook. We are on Twitter, and of course, I'm on Twitter as well. They're welcome to connect with me there. And we're always myself and the network is also on LinkedIn as well.
That's right. Yep, and we've got you on our website as well, consumerqb.com. You can see all of his information as well, consumerqb.com, as well as 80 other expert contributors on the Quarterback Show. John, thanks for calling in. I appreciate the update, brother.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. Take care. All right, so that's John McKee. Awesome concept there, buying a meeting. Interesting, you can reach out, you can click, and like he said, you can reach out and get a meeting set up with Kevin Harrington from Shark Tank, one of the original Sharks, or, a plethora of other influencers. So we're back here in studio, live from iHeartRadio. I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. In the studio today, we've got attorney Joe Cairns, family law attorney here in Tampa Bay. Also, we have Curt Lorden, branch manager of Interlinc Mortgage Services in here as well. So, Joe, back to you. What else are you seeing out there, or where do you want to go from there?
The other thing that is also around this time is a lot of people are trying to sign their children up for school.
Right.
It can be, do we pick the school that's in the middle? And then, of course, there is the districts. So if mom is set up for this one school, dad's set up for this other school, then it becomes the battle of whatever the grade becomes. Is it an A school, B school, C, or God forbid an F? And then there is this war over what program's there, what school's better, what's better for my child, and then it can literally boil down to competing experts telling us what school is going to be best for this child. We talked about the crystal ball at the break. That would be what is going on in these types of situations. So that can be a real hotbed situation. I try in my parenting plans. And that's the parenting plan is what determines, okay, this is how decisions are made, this is how the schedule works. With the school, sometimes the one parent is going to be designated. Usually that's the parent that usually has been in touch with that kind of stuff, whether it's the school, the medical, those kinds of things. That doesn't mean that the other parent's completely kept out of it, but we just use this person as the default so that there isn't this problem.
A lot of times does it tend to favor the mom?
Mostly because that classic model, I call it the Donna Reed model, still persists to a certain degree. Now, it is eroding. There are a lot more, both parents are working. They're on even playing fields. Dad's doing the same kinds of things with mom. So that is coming into the forefront, but that classic model still does exist.
Yeah.
So that would be the only reason in my mind why there is a little bit more of a skew towards mom.
Right.
Sometimes, dad could be more school-oriented, mom's more medical-oriented. But a lot of times what you're seeing now is people are leaving the school choice open because there are going to be variations in the times and types of schools. Now, when you're hearing on the news about voucher programs, it's going to make it even more complicated.
Wow.
So what I've been trying to develop is a mechanism so that the clients, the parents, aren't going to end up in some sort of war. Are we going to utilize some sort of state service to figure out what the grade's going to be? That also has its danger. Like we talked about, there's no perfect mortgage. There's really no perfect contract on this issue either.
Right.
But if we can talk about early on what are going to be the needs and wants in that particular situation, can we come up with a situation that leads to, well, we really wanted our child to go to this school, but ultimately, we couldn't get it done fast enough, so we lost the spot. So this voucher program, the magnet programs, not necessarily going with the public school that you're zoned for, is going to really require some specificity in those parenting plans so that we don't have a big problem down the road and little Johnny doesn't necessarily end up in a school that really neither one of them wanted.
Is that what the voucher program is, where you can, if you live in this zone, you can actually apply for a voucher, or?
Well, it's not necessarily implemented yet. It's something that's on the horizon.
Okay.
Magnet schools are really the bigger issue right now, where you can apply to go to these other schools. You go on a wait list. Maybe there's some certain requirements for going to that school. It could be a school that's way out of your zone, and then you have to worry about busing and those types of things, and work schedules start jumping in there. Right. Vouchers could be utilized for private schools, saying that the government's going to pay for it. So there's a myriad of problems, and I'm seeing them creep up more and more, particularly how people move within the county.
Yeah. Attorney Joe Cairns, family law attorney and longtime friend of the program here, Cairns Law Firm, and also Curt Lorden, Interlinc Mortgage Services. We're going to hear more from both of those folks coming up, as well as top 10 most downloaded iOS apps. And we love Smart Move Moving and Storage, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Big shout out to Hannah and her team over at Smart Move Moving and Storage, the official partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. ConsumerQB.com.
Hey, this
Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP Realty, and I'm a top listing agent here in Tampa Bay, featured in Florida Realtor Magazine, Top Agent Magazine, the Tampa Bay Business Journal, and others recognized for my innovations with marketing, helping our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties. If you'd like a free valuation, comparable market analysis, text the word value to our hotline at 813-917-1894.
Nothing can stop me, I'm all the way up.
813-917-1894.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
That's right. We love it when the hotline blings. We know we're helping people out there. Every week we get multiple calls, helping people with credit, finance, estate planning, tax planning. Over 80 show categories of consumer advocate talk, helping you win. Immigration's been a hot topic lately as well. And got a couple of hot listings I want to let you know about. 1401 Seminole Boulevard in Largo. Attention builders, developers, anybody looking for a commercial opportunity. Great corner lot here. It's $460,000 $200,000, 200 feet of frontage within the city of Largo. 7814 Sims Road in Gibsonton. This is a very interesting property. Residential home, 4-bedroom, 3-bath, pool home on 4.5 acres, as well as a commercial building that's rented out that's currently generating $2,000 of income. The property practically pays for itself, and it's a top listing here with Platinum MVP Realty.
Somewhere, sunny and 75.
All right, in studio, attorney Joe Cairns, Cairns Family Law, Cairns Law Firm. Curt Lorden, Interlinc Mortgage Services. We're going to jump into this top 10 list. Let's see where you guys rank on this now. All right, so the top 10 most downloaded iOS apps, and I guess that's iOS is that the Apple term? iOS, I'm not sure. Yeah.
I have an Android.
Yeah,
So do I. I know what an IOU is, just not what an iOS.
You got it right. Good job.
You want to hold on to that one? That was a Lamborghini.
Oh, okay. All right, so the top 10 most downloaded apps, we always start right here, Joe. You're up first.
It's got to be the Facebook app.
Facebook is on there, but it's not, surprisingly, it's not the #1 spot. So Facebook, Joe got that one. All right, Curt?
Instagram.
Insta is right on the list as well. Curt got that one. And all right, let's see. Joe, back to you. Twitter is not on the list. Sorry about that, buddy.
No whammies, no whammies, no whammies.
No whammies. All right, Curt. Top 10 most downloaded iOS apps.
Top 10. I'm going to say the ESPN app.
ESPN is not on the list.
That's a bad list.
Where did we get this list from?
That's the bottom 10.
It's from the top 10s. Probably that's where he gets a lot of these from. Top10s.com or something like that.
We found it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Shocking.
All right, back to Joe.
Oh, jeez.
Think about kids. Think about kids and what they're doing too.
Oh, that's right, because they play all those games.
Yeah.
I'm kidless. Do you have kids?
No, I just have my 15 loan officers that work for me. That's enough.
All right,
It's like herding cats.
Fox News app.
Fox News, not on
Yes,
there.
because that relates to kids. Keep up.
All right, so YouTube is up there at #2, but the #1 is some kids game called Candy Crush.
That's what I was going to say.
I get invited to that almost every week.
It's weird.
You invited to play Candy Crush.
I haven't heard of this one either. Temple Run is #3.
Oh, I've played that on a plane because it's the only one that doesn't require internet connection.
Oh,
it's mindless.
See, I don't consider those apps. I consider them games.
Well, there's still an app.
Some
It's
of
a game
them.
app.
Vine. Which one is Vine? Is that a social media?
That's that 6-second video clip thing.
Oh, really? Okay. And then #5, Google Earth and Maps. That's
Oh, yeah.
on the list.
Use it
And
for
#6 is a big one, Snapchat. I guess they just went public too, Snapchat.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Snapchat. I wrote a bunch down during the break.
Pandora Radio, and then rounding it out is #10 is Minion Rush, Despicable Me. So again, another
Do like that movie, though.
Another kids game. And if we were talking about this 6 months ago, it would have been the stupid thing that people were walking around running.
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
Or Pokemon Go.
I actually downloaded that just to see what it was, and then I started walking around my house, and it wasn't moving, and then I realized I had to be actually outside.
I hope my friend's watching. He's 65 years old. He comes to the dog park, and he's still playing Pokemon Go.
That's awesome. Good for him. He's getting some exercise. I get winded when I walk around my kitchen.
Outside. Well, how's the knee coming on? You getting better?
Yeah, it's good, man. It's pretty much all healed. I can actually...
Lordy, Curt Lorden's 40.
Yeah, had a B-day this past weekend.
Good,
I
That's awesome.
finished off my 30s.
There you go. Isn't it crazy how we act as human beings? You put a 0 behind the number, it's like, oh, wow, it's this big event, right?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is my 30th birthday I actually spent in the emergency room because I lived in Madeira Beach, and a buddy of mine thought it'd be funny to push me in the water, and he didn't realize that my seawall had oysters.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So my left knee has gotten some damage. Two knee surgeries and 19 stitches from an oyster bed. It was awesome.
My birthday's around Gasparilla, so I'm like,
You're a pirate.
No one's around.
No one's around. It's like crickets.
Where is everybody?
Oh, man. All right, so in studio, if you just joined us, I'm your host, Brandon Rhymes. We're talking with attorney Joe Cairns, Cairns Law Firm, and also Curt Lorden. He's the branch manager of Interlinc Mortgage Services here in Tampa Bay. We had a call in as well from John McKee, buyingameeting.com as well, one of our 80-plus show partners that we have here, helping you win in any marketplace, making you a bit more street smart. And we want to remind you to call us on our hotline, 813-917-1894. You can call or text that number for anything that you need in any of those spaces that we cover on our financial wheel. Let's go ahead and jump into our lightning round. All right, top tips, things to do, things to avoid. Attorney Joe Cairns, you're up, sir.
Tax refunds. If you are married, they are a joint marital asset. If you are not married and you're going to fight over who's going to claim the child, the IRS has a rule that says whoever had the child the majority of the time, that may be in dispute. If you have some sort of agreement that is silent on that, you should get that taken care of immediately, or you may be owing somebody, maybe not the IRS, but your significant other or your former significant other.
That could add up quickly.
Yeah. I've seen these $8,000 checks running around.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No kids.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about the banking industry earlier today, and if you guys want to educate yourself and be entertained, watch these two shows. Watch The Untold Truth of America, or the United States. It's by Oliver Stone.
Is that a documentary?
It's a documentary. It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And then the other one is The Men Who Built America. Talks about Rockefeller, talks about Ford, talks about J.P. Morgan. And it's a series and just kind of goes through how this nation was developed and really kind of how it's not too much different than it is today.
Yeah.
It's a great series.
Yeah, it's amazing. So
check it out. Give it to me again. What was it?
The Men Who Built America
Okay.
and The Untold Truth of the United States.
Yeah, interesting. I saw the Ben Affleck movie, by the way, last night. There's one just came out on demand. It was pretty good, pretty cool. About gangster. It was really interesting. Like, he comes down from Boston, and they're settling the Tampa Bay area. It literally had Ybor throughout it the whole time. Talking about Ybor.
Really?
Talking about Ybor. The train was there. It was literally the train in Ybor with orange groves all around it. And then it talked about how Tampa, and he's talking to the police commissioner, all this kind of, gangster type stuff back in the day. It was a really interesting movie. I can't remember the name of it.
It's on demand on, like, cable?
Yeah, like if you pull it up on Frontier or whatever you got, pull it up. It's one of the new ones that just came out. Really interesting, really cool.
All right, I'll just search
survey.
Ben Affleck movies.
Yeah, the most recent one. And it also talked about how they were doing the bootlegging. That was the main point of it, the run.
Entirely in Georgia.
Yeah, it was in Georgia?
Yeah, because Ybor wouldn't give him a break on taxes.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's funny.
Built Ybor in Georgia.
Gary Gilkey dropping in there. Yeah, that's
Dynamite dropping, Gary.
Yeah, dynamite dropping in, Gary.
I just was mad because we lost a lot of money.
We did. We
Yeah, we
lost
did.
money on revenue for a silly situation like that. And when I was looking at it, I was like, wow, where did they get the, you think about orange groves, you think about the backdrops that were there. And then one of the big points of the movie, the climaxes of the movie, was where they were trying to get it to where they could build this big casino and legalize gambling. And then that got shot down because of the religious sector and that type of thing. But anyways, little bunny rabbit trail we went down.
Yeah, we did.
That was fun, though.
That was a tangent.
I had fun with that.
We talked about movies the whole time.
Pretty much.
What was the movie name? Anybody find it?
By night?
Live by Night. That was it.
All right, it's a group effort, guys. Well done. Takes a village.
Awesome. All right, we got about a minute left. Top tips, things to do. Joe Cairns.
Well, your first thing on the movie thing, Family Lock, Intolerable Cruelty is a good one. I'd recommend that. That shows how aggravating it really can be.
Intolerable Cruelty. All right, I like that one.
It's Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Okay, there you go. That's reason enough, right?
Yep.
Kurt?
Back on tax time, guys. I mean, use your refund as a down payment. Use your refund to pay down debt. Do not use your refund to go on a family vacation if you have debt. Just save for that, because basically, your IRS tax refund is an interest-free loan that you've given to the government, and they just give a portion of it back.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Take a time and look at the comprehensive approach. Make sure your attorney's talking to your CPA, and they're talking to your fiduciary, your wealth advisor. Hopefully it's a fiduciary and a real fiduciary, not a dual agent registered. Ask them those deep questions that we talked about with the fiduciary role, and also, engage us. If you have any questions, that's what we're here for. We want to help you understand and kind of navigate these waters. Sometimes it's uncharted waters that we want to help you with. And also, please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness. Something as simple as packing up leftover food you may have, carrying it with you to and from your commute to work, handing it to that person that you see in need. And also, we have multiple ways to get involved and be a force for good. You can volunteer, help be a volunteer, be a mentor, like we talked about in the show as well with John McKee. Be a mentor, volunteer your time, give to charities, and be a force for good out there. Something as simple as handing out some food, maybe buying an extra sandwich, handing it to that person that you see in need, and be a force for good in the community. And thanks so much for tuning in and listening to the Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.